Ready yet? Or we're waiting for you.
Oh no, I'm ready. Oh, here. How do I hit this here?
Hit that TV, man. We gotta see that beautiful
Oh, here
face of
we go.
yours, kid.
Oh
There he
yeah, here we
is,
go. Here we go.
young blood.
Wagwan.
What's going on, brother?
The answer to all your sorrows is Chandler Simpson. When he comes, he's going to take care of everything. You know that, no?
What happened? What did you do?
No,
Somebody told you
I'm
something?
just trying to bring something up. Chandler Simpson. You didn't bring up him as far as the speed and the raise and stuff like that.
Who's there with you right now telling you about
Aaron
the race?
Jacobs.
I knew it. You were saying Chandler Simpson so confidently, like you knew who the hell he was. You thought Chandler Simpson was Homer and Marge's long lost son.
He's not. I thought he was, but he's fast though.
He's fast. He's quicker than a hiccup. He made Bart.
Second rounder, 2022. You know me. I do my investigative journalism.
You thought Chandler Simpson was Bart's cousin who stole his skateboard.
He's nice though. He's
nice though. Did Aaron tell you about our golfing expeditions yesterday?
I was listening to Drew Garabo yesterday, and he said he didn't golf, and the fact that you and Aaron were out there golfing in that, God bless you, because that's you really want to golf, because I'm not sure I'm golfing in that ever.
The great Paul Delegato said something that it was like one of the wettest days in the history, and I was like, and me and Aaron got out there for 12 holes. And we were behind Dave Randorf and a couple of the Edmonton Oilers TV guys, and they were playing very quickly. No, they weren't. My man Aaron was like, God dang it. But I saw them today, and they said, I didn't think that we'd ever enjoy a hot shower in Tampa more than yesterday because it was absolutely soaking. But Aaron hit some good shots out there. We had a lot of fun, man. It was a good time.
He was bragging on your game, saying you hit the ball well. And listen, you know me, Jay. I'm not a complainer, but playing golf in the cold sucks. Like
it does, man.
When your hands are cold. Like I played in really cold weather, you wouldn't hear a peep from me. But when it's cold and you have that golf club feels different, you don't hit the balls, you don't hit it square. It sucks. So good for you.
Yeah, the club was kind of some of those, like the club's slipping out of my hands, and then you're just like, what do you do? You know what I mean? Like it is what it is. We had some nice shots, and we had a good time. That was the most important thing. I wanted to ask you about one of the big stories coming out of the combine up in Indianapolis. You went to the combine a couple of years ago. What was your takeaway of the whole thing? And where do you stand when it comes to the combine really telling you how good these players are? Because I find it hard to believe that you're looking at a guy wearing, Under Armour t-shirts, sleeveless with shorts on. And what that guy does there is more important than the 4 years you just watched him on tape.
Well, I mean, I watched the combine. It's something that I could actually watch. I enjoy watching. I could just sit here and watch guys run and lift, and it's just I enjoy watching it. So I actually went a couple of years ago. I went there. It was boring as hell. Indianapolis was cold and gray, and I was just falling asleep in the stands. So it's not something I need to do again. But as far as the evaluation of players goes, if I'm a scout, 90% of it would be what I see on film. I think the combine, when you see the testing part, that's more for the media and for the pageantry and all that stuff. And you do every once in a while see stars created. But how many times have you seen stars created at the combine and they get drafted high and it really pans out? And that doesn't happen that often because for me, if you run a 4.2 at the combine, which is blistering fast, and your film doesn't have you catching 60 balls your senior year, I'm going to ask why, because the next year you're going to have bigger, longer, faster dudes with their heads in your face, and they're going to be just as fast as you. So if your film doesn't say it, and I'm the kind of guy that I don't care what you run. If that film is badass, I'm picking that player because it's about football and feel and not actual numbers.
Yeah, isn't that? And baseball is probably the worst of this when you're so analytically driven, but it's just one of those things where you get too fancy in situations like this when it comes to analyzing these players. Because at the end of the day, a guy might not grade out great, but if he's just a dog on the football field, that stuff's going to supersede any of the numbers anyway, isn't it?
Well, you would think so, Jay, but listen, I went through at all levels, and I remember my senior year at Indiana. We had a scout from the Raiders come in, and he looked at me. He goes, "What number are you, son?" I said, 75. And he goes, "Beckles?" And I go, "Yes, sir." And he says, "You're a hell of a football player, son. It's too bad you ain't 6'5". And I go, "What difference does that make?" He goes, 4 inches. And I said, "Okay, but what about on the football field?" He goes, "Lots of money." That's how he talked to me. So I was thinking at that time, okay, if I'm 6'5", I'd be rich, but I'm 6'1". But if I was 6'5" and everything's equal, they're going to pick the 6'5" guy. I
Right.
get that. But it's to a point where I have to be so much better than the 6'5" guy because he's the protocol. My backup in Philadelphia was George Hageman. You ever see George Hageman? George is 6'7", 360. He's not fat. He's probably just as fast as me. He has longer arms than
Right.
me. But why was he behind me? I mean, that's stuff you could never measure. And I don't think there's anything more inexact than choosing a football player, because you could be great in college and absolutely suck in the league.
A big topic of conversation there at the combine is the tush push, and the brotherly shove. And the Philadelphia Eagles have done such a masterful job of every single time. It seems like, unless they play the Bucs, they're gonna get it. They're gonna get it regardless of who the opposition, regardless if they have big guys in the middle or not, if they have linebackers jumping over the line of scrimmage. And now people are talking about getting rid of it. And Raheem Morris came out today, said he wasn't a fan. And, the one name that I think was a little peculiar was Sean McDermott. He was questioning it because of the health and the safety concerns. And they're the team that probably does it the second most behind the Philadelphia Eagles, with Josh Allen as the quarterback. What do you make of the tush push as far as the health and safety concerns? Do you think that they're going to try to ban it or at least adjust it so that they're, it's a little bit more palatable when it comes to the health? Because you and I spoke for years. NFL don't care about their health. They want product, man. They're just, you know what I mean? Don't give me this whole thing. They really care about their health because there's other things they could do to take more precaution. But what do you make of the tush push?
First of all, the NFL absolutely doesn't care about our health. There's Thursday night football, and there's guys that have 4 days rest before they go do that again. They
Right.
don't care about their health. I don't want to hear about that. What game was it when there was a tush push and somebody got hurt? Show it to me. I haven't seen it. It may have happened, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's not like it's happening on every play where it's
No.
like they're like, oh, the long-term damage. Like, yeah, they really care about long-term damage. Look how they deal with concussions.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to hear that. I'm with you. It'd be one thing if on every single play a guy was going down, right? Or every other player, you knew like once a game, like that guy's jacked up from the tush push. I know you did see Chris Jones. His neck got a little jacked up there in the Super Bowl in the tush push. But, I mean, that's the reason why it stands out, because it don't happen very often, it seems.
Yeah, and listen, I have absolutely no issue with the tush push. When you talk about Raheem and McDermott, those are guys who are just crying because they can't stop it. Okay, They probably lost because of the tush push. They're tired of trying to defend the tush push because they don't know how to do it. If you can't stop it, then do it. It's that easy. If it's unstoppable, do it. Like, listen, don't you think it's crazy? One of the best scorers of all time was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he had a sky hook, and nobody's ever done it since. That means it ain't easy, right? It's got to be hard. So you can't tell me the tush push is easy. There's got to be some science in it, and in some way Philadelphia mastered this thing. And I'm not a Philadelphia fan at all, and I played there for 2 years, but I don't want to hear nobody crying about something. I play NCAA and Madden. It's like somebody going, "You're only running one defense. You can't move the ball. Why would I ever run another defense?"
Right.
So I don't want to hear people crying that lost to the tush push. You do it then.
Travis Kelce just announced that or the general manager of the Kansas City Chiefs just came out and said that Travis Kelce's fired up for the 2025 season. Surprised at all that he's coming back? I thought it looked like, he really good in that first playoff game against the Texans, but the last 2 games left a lot to be desired. And I think people were kind of looking at, all right, all the stuff that he's got off the field. Is this really a priority? Does he really want to go through training camp again? It looks like he's going to come back. Does that surprise you at all?
No, absolutely not. I mean, if you give me a list of NFL players that retired when they were still top 20, it'd be a very short list. It doesn't work like it. What would happen is he would retire, he'd make everybody crazy, and then halfway through the season he would just sign with another team. even when I was done with ball, 2 years later, when I was doing the John Gruden show with the great John Gruden,
highly rated,
he he grabs my arms and he goes, "You could still play." I'm like, he goes, "Seriously, you could still play," and he messed me up. Like, I swear to God, I went back home. I started lifting weights. I'm like, you know what? I missed this. I can go back. It's not something you just step away from and everything's just hunky dory, okay? Because I don't know who I was talking to the other day. It was some other, maybe it was Derek Brooks on the podcast, but we were talking about getting introduced. What do you think replaces that? But
Nothing.
getting introduced by 70,000 of your fans and you're running out and 70,000 people are cheering for you. What the hell? Like, I taught spin class for 20 people. It wasn't the same. Okay, so filling that void is hard. And if he just steps away from something when he can still play, they're still talking about Tom Brady coming back. He might come back. I don't know. But it's just one of those things. It sounds easy, but it's really hard to do.
Yeah, and it's another thing too, where I just saw something today that they're talking about Rob Gronkowski possibly coming back at 36 years old. It's easier said than done, right? It's easier on the sideline to be like, I heard this and I heard that, but to be able to suit up again and go through, like, what's the hardest part then when you go back? Is it the games? Is it the practice, the training camp? Is it the length of the season? What would be the most difficult thing for a guy that maybe took a year off to try to come back?
Well, once again, if you give me a list of players that took a year off and came back and succeeded, it would be a very short list, okay? It's just not something, it's hard to do. I was out for a little bit of a time because of the injury the year before. Then I came back to play the next year. Everything hurt more. Things didn't make sense anymore. I remember cramping up and locking up before my last day in Denver. My whole body locked up, and I had to call the trainer, and they put 4 bags in me. And I just looked in the mirror, and I was like, this ain't easy no more. And I don't know if I really, because I was just play 2 more years. This is not chess, okay? you practice. I'm not going out and practice. My last 2 years, I never practiced. So you're going to come back after a year and they expect you to practice and this and that. I mean, it has to be the perfect situation, but football's not something you can fake anytime soon, brother. There's no faking in that sport.
Bucks and Lovey's, not Lovey. Oh my gosh. Todd Bowles is speaking right now. I just saw something on Lovey earlier. That's why. Bowles is talking about edge rushers, cornerbacks, inside linebackers, wide receivers are the positions that he thinks that they'll be focused on during the combine. If you're looking at this Buccaneers team, what are those positions? Like, if you rank them, what is the number one position that you think the Buccaneers should address and keep an eye on at the combine?
First of all, you tell me that we're giving up on Joe Tryon-Shoyinka? Is that what you're saying? Now, Jay, tell me, is this no more JT? I'm gonna miss him.
Ian, I'm going to tell you something right now. You, from the very beginning, and I got to be honest with everybody, okay?
Please.
A lot of people say a lot of things, but Ian was the guy from the very, very beginning that looked at Joe Tryon-Shoyinka and said he might break the sack record for most sacks in the season.
You're close. You're close.
You thought I was going the other way.
I mean, I understand.
Bro, I cannot tell. And I think people know, right? Because we've been friends for so long. But you saw it. You never saw it with that guy. And, we would sit there sometimes and, like, we'd have more people on. And he was always the sexy pick for 10 sacks this year for this guy. And then, like, it's funny because the years would go by. And it wouldn't even be excuses. It would just be like, he's a hell of an athlete. He's a hell of an athlete. And it was just like, eventually you kind of got to look at it and go, when does he become a good player? When do you go from a good athlete to a good player? And I feel like you can say that now. Like, you can say that now in the combine, right? I think now's the time when you say a guy's a good athlete. All right, fine. Let's see how it works. But if you're still saying that after year 3, like, at the end of the day, he was on the field, right? So his availability was there, but probably one of the worst draft picks that I'm not going to say ever, because that bar is very low. Mm-hmm. But you want to talk about in the last 4 or 5 years, this is probably one of the worst draft picks that Jason Light had.
Well, I didn't see anything early, okay? And that happens sometimes. Like Warren Sapp wasn't great his first year. He wasn't. But in the midst of him not being great, there'll be a play go, whoa, like what was that? Like you could see it, okay? Malik Neighbors, you like the Giants, okay? He had a good year, but right from the rip, I'm like, whoa, like yo, he's a little different. What play was it where JTS did something? Because I could tell you every sack he got, he ran around the hump, or he beat a tackle that was slow off the ball, and he beat him around the hump, and he got a sack. I've always said, before you become good as a rush end, you have to be able to run through the tackle. Period. You can't give me one great rusher from the end, including Simon Rice, who wasn't really a physical player, but he would bull rush the crap out of somebody, go inside, beat somebody clean. JTS was almost winning by luck. Unfortunately, Gaines Adams did the same thing, and I saw that immediately. Oh, he got a sack, but he ran around the hump, and the quarterback got flushed into him. That is not a sack to me. If you're not strong enough, and JTS is one of those guys every year, athlete. It reminds me of Mike Glennon. Tall. What the hell has that got to do with playing quarterback? He can't play quarterback.
He got a lot of neck.
Lots of neck, and he's tall. JTS, he's a great athlete, but I've never seen it. If he's a great athlete, wouldn't he have made a play at linebacker? He played linebacker at the end, and he was dropping in coverage. He didn't. Did you ever see the ball hit his hands? So why is he a great athlete? He certainly doesn't have football instinct. So rest in peace and good riddance.
Did you know that Mike Glennon checks into hotels under the pseudonym Ian Beckles?
I understand. Me and him, we do look similar.
Ian Beckles and Ian Beckles.
Right.
Titans are saying that Travis Hunter can play two ways in the NFL. And somebody asked me the other day about my hot take, right? When it comes to the NFL draft, I have big time reservations about Travis Hunter. I got all of the guys in the top 5, whether it's Carter, whether it's Shador, whether it's Cam Ward, any of those other guys. I just don't know how this is going to happen, right? What is he going to do, Beck? Because he's not the biggest guy. It's not like he's 6'4", right? Is he a guy that's going to play receiver the entire time and then moonlight on defense and be a secondary, like a dime, piece there? Is he going to be a starting corner, which I think a lot of people think that's the route he's going to go, be a starting corner and then be like a gadget play offensively? Because, Beck, if he does that, he's not the same guy that he was at Colorado. Part of the reason why I think he's getting drafted that high is because of the mystique, because he's doing things in college that we've never seen playing on both sides of the ball. We haven't seen that 100 years ago. We saw that, right? When they're playing with leather helmets. But if he's not doing that same thing at the professional level, is he going to be that good? Is he going to be Sauce Gardner on one side and Malik Neighbors on the other? I think there's a lot of questions there. And if I had a top 5 pick, I don't know if I would invest it on Travis Hunter because there's a lot of questions. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think I'm on the other side of the fence. I would, if you gave me a choice between Travis and Shador, I'm taking Travis, okay? Because Shador, I think he could be a good quarterback, but I just don't like good young quarterbacks, okay? It just a lot of times you can have what it takes and it still doesn't turn out well.
Right.
Physical, your body doesn't make it. You have some tough times early, and the press is on you. To me, Travis Hunter is one of those guys that he reminds me of Antoine Randall L. And speaking of Indiana, IU baby, talk to me. Antoine Randall L. back in the day when he was at Indiana, one of the GAs, I talked to him, one of my old boys, Todd Walker, and he said, we got this freshman kid, Antoine Randall, and we don't know where to put him. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, it doesn't matter where he goes. He's the best player. I think that's Travis Hunter. I think Travis Hunter, every level of football he's ever played, he's just been substantially better than everybody else. And obviously, because who the hell plays the whole game on both sides of the ball? That's crazy. Okay,
but I'm glad you brought that up though, because Antoine Randall was one of the best athletes, right? When it comes to the NFL.
Yes.
Second round pick, right?
Correct.
But he's not a Hall of Famer. He's not even close to being a Hall of Famer. He was a really good player that played multiple spots in the pros, right? That's my thing. Is it's not a collection of all of the things that you can do. It's about what's the one thing that you do great, right? If Travis Hunter turns out to be a nice player, a niche player, but he doesn't end up being a Pro Bowler and a Hall of Famer, that's not a good pick. If you're a top 5 pick, you're hoping that this guy's a franchise changer. So if he's a very nice guy, or if he turns out to be an Antoine Randall, but he's maybe slightly better, but he's not a Hall of Famer, he's not a Pro Bowler, and not an All-Pro guy, that's my concern, right? I think he could do some great things, but is it more of a novelty rather than a success thing? Because I think you need a top 5 pick to be like that, or if you're going to draft the number 1, that's got to be a black or white thing. It's got to be he's either a great player or he's not a great player, right? There's a lot of grays to Jameis Winston, but at the end of the day, even though at the time it was a great pick because nobody else was, what an idiotic pick there. It was either him or Mariota, and the majority of the people were taking Jameis anyway. But it wasn't a good pick because it didn't work out. Nobody's faulting it and saying it was a bad decision, but the pick didn't work out. That's my concern. Can you kind of see that where I'm coming from for Travis Hunter?
No, absolutely. And listen, there's going to be a concern from every single player that you pick in the draft. Okay, that's the way it goes. I compared him to Antoine Randall, not so much for his stock, but for his versatility and his athletic ability. Okay, they play different positions, but Travis Hunter, I know he's that guy. If you put him at quarterback, he can probably play quarterback. Now, if you redrafted, I always say where somebody was drafted has nothing to do with how good they are, because like I was a 5th rounder. If they redrafted it, there's no way I get to go to the 5th round because there was numerous guards ahead of me that never played one down. So I would have to go up. How many guys that got drafted ahead of me never played? So if we did the draft again, I would be maybe a 3rd rounder, maybe 2nd, possibly. Antoine Randall, we do the draft again, I think he gets into the 1st round because there's a lot of dudes in the 1st round that don't give you 10 years of quality football. And even if it's a number 5, okay, even if it's number 1, if you get 10 years of quality football out of your number 1, you better take that immediately. Because even not even All Pro, not even Hall of Fame, just 10 years of quality starts, take it. Because the other end of the spectrum is never played a good game like Jamarcus Russell, having to watch the guy for 5 years like JTS. Like, you see, how much better was Antoine Randall than Joe Tryon-Shoyinka? Like, Antoine Randall changed games. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka didn't even change one drive that I watched in 5. I don't understand why he was still on the team the last year. I don't understand.
He changed his cleats. He's really good at cleat changing.
He's a great athlete.
Oh, wow. Todd Bowles actually. Wow. Pewter Report just put this out about Bowles on JTS. Check this out.
Oh, boy.
Bowles says he thinks Joe Tryon-Shoyinka did everything right for them except for get to the quarterback with regularity.
Or make a play. I mean, that's pretty. I was gonna say political, but that doesn't.
Thank you, Scott Reynolds. Bowles made it clear that JTS did everything they asked of him except for get to the quarterback, which he made sure
or get any tackles on the run.
Which he made sure to mention was the main job of an edge rusher.
Okay, but you can listen. Man. Yaya Diaby doesn't really get to the quarterback, but he doesn't bother me. Because I see him playing hard. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, every time he loses contain, he rushes up the field. He's 5 yards by the quarterback. What are you doing? I didn't get it. Yeah, I mean,
I think he played hard, right? But and he showed up early, right? He showed up early. He stayed late. Yeah. Just wasn't talented. I mean, that's the hard part. People don't want to hear that kind of stuff, right? People always want to well, he did this and he did this and he did this. And I feel like if you have to make excuses for a player, you know what you don't want to say? He just wasn't good. That's it.
Jay, the hardest worker on the team a lot of times is not nearly the best player, brother. You could be a hard-ass. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka could get there at 4 o'clock and leave at 10 at night. I don't care. He has no football instincts. He has no leverage. He has no strength. He has no oomph. Man, I grew up watching Lawrence Taylor. When Lawrence Taylor put his foot on that damn ground, brother, there was fear in the stands. Who did JTS fear? I would pick him. Who do you want to block? I want to block JTS. I'm picking him because I know at the end of the game, there's going to be no nicks on my helmet. He ain't going to try to run me over. He's going to try to finesse me. and I'm gonna have a day off. And he gave a lot of tackles days off.
Did you ever have to block Lawrence Taylor?
I know you're a Giants fan, but I actually put Lawrence out, and he missed the first game of his career because I cut him and I hurt his knee. I'm sorry.
Son of a bitch.
I know. I'm sorry.
JT,
My bad.
and I thought you were going to say something about JTS. Well, if he developed a coke problem like Lawrence Taylor, he might have been able to get to the quarterback. You know, somebody out there is going to say some crazy shit like
Bro,
that.
first of all, I don't think it's a problem when you're getting 20 sacks. It doesn't sound like a problem to me because I don't care if it's on your nose in the game time. If you're getting 16, 20 sacks, brother, I don't care.
They're like, Lawrence, you got a mustache. She's like, what mustache?
Yeah,
and nothing
right.
Like that, hanging
and
out with Rick
Lawrence
James.
showing up to the game late because he had a golf outing. I mean, like, who gets you? Got to be talented if Bill Parcells allowed you, and he put him in the game.
And the craziest thing, one of the most hard-ass coaches in all of professional sports,
ever.
And he made exceptions for Lawrence Taylor and like tell him he told Bill Belichick. Think about that. Bill Parcells told Bill Belichick, "Why are you starting the meetings then without Lawrence?" What time's the meeting?
Well, what are you stupid?
What are you
crazy?
Certain people. That's what happens with Kucherov with the Lightning. They just like, well, it's Cooch. What are you gonna do?
Ian Beckles, thing is, once you turn into an a-hole, you got to go. But these guys, even at the end of his career, Lawrence Taylor was still a badass, brother.
Yeah, still amazing, man. At Beckles, at Ian Beckles, not Ian Neckles. That's Mike Lennon's check-in name when he goes to the local Ramada Inn for his thing. Beckles and Recher podcast tomorrow at around 3:15 there from the Dignitary Cafe, 4817 Southwest Shore Boulevard. Beck, always fun, my brother. I'll see you tomorrow afternoon.
Be good, brother. One love.
One love. The one and only.